Hey, Kyle's Wonderful here again with another wrestling review. This time it's NWA Power from July 26th and NWA USA from July 30th, 2022. So it was definitely an eventful week for NWA. Right after we crowned a new number one contender for NWA 74, where Nick Aldis had to fight through two members of the Cardona family who were clearly working together in a fatal four-way, and they didn't. One of them didn't even earn their way to that match. So it was all done by NWA head official Billy Corgan, and after Corgan made a deal with the devil, telling Matt Cardona if Matt handed over the NWA world title after getting injured, Corgan would hook everyone in the Cardona family up with title shots. So last week, after Corbin came on the Power, he said that he has the right to strip anyone of anything at any time for the number one contendership if he feels like it. So if he feels that they're no longer worthy of representing the NWA, but in effect, anytime he feels like it, he can just say, "Oh, I don't feel like they represent the NWA. I'm going to strip you." So right after, that's ridiculous. So in the news and the wrestling media was reporting it if it was real because they don't actually watch the NWA, but it's definitely storyline. And Nick Aldis has been stripped of the number one contendership. So right after Billy Corgan said that he has that power to do that, he does it. And then now, TV champion of all people, Tyrus, has just been handed the number one contendership for absolutely no reason, and that is scheduled to be the main event of NWA 74. Tyrus versus Trevor Murdoch for the NWA World Heavyweight Championship, which nobody really wants to see. So Corgan claims that all this has been politicking and complaining backstage, but all this did was just get upset at Billy for all those deals with the Cardonas, which I agree with Nick Aldis. That was a weird deal. So Billy Corgan is seemingly able to strip a number one contender front of his contendership at any time he wants, but couldn't strip the NWA world title from an injured man who's going to be out for 6 months. So none of it really makes sense. And the NWA fans are furious with the decision. They don't want to see Tyrus in the main event. So I wonder how this is going to shake up or how it's going to go, because at the current moment, a lot of people watch NWA for Nick Aldis and they don't watch for Tyrus. Tyrus is big, slow, a MAGA guy, everything people don't really like. So it seems a little weird, seems a little awkward. We're just gonna have to wait and see. We've got a few more weeks until NWA 74 for everything to shake out. Hopefully it changes, and then it's not. Maybe we can find Nick Aldis might even show up unannounced at NWA 74. We're not even sure, so we're just gonna have to keep waiting. Unfortunately, this week isn't really about that very much. It is an empowered episode of NWA Power, so that means it was a lot of the women's division and a lot of things happen in the women's division. So let's just get right into it and we'll talk about things as they go. So we start this week's episode of NWA Power with Kyle Davis telling us that this week's is an empowered episode. And then Kyle Davis is standing with the Pope, Marti, Belle, and Paula Blaze, who surely is empowering women with her giant rack hanging out here. So Marti says, "Where I grew up, women didn't have a chance to do what they wanted. They didn't have a chance to fight for their dreams. It's hard for being a Latina, but all I can say is watch us." So that's what Marti Belle said. And then this ended or watch us. This NWA women's division, it will keep growing and will keep proving why we have the best women's division in the world. Then Paula says something in Spanish about being Colombian and representing all women to the fullest. So then the Pope says, when you talk about empowered, you need to give them the right to control their own lives, which they don't in most states right now. So that's awkward. Then he talks about what he's been reading and that's the ring and the spotlight and the NWA provides. Um, and then we'll go out there and be yourself, and this is empowered. So that was the setup, the nice empowered episode. Decent stuff there, I guess. Then the opening video plays, and Velvet reminds me, or she makes me mad every time she does the Vader time ripoff. Plus the fact that I'm about to have to listen to the worst commentator in wrestling. So Not good. And then anyway, we're told the main event will be NWA Women's World Title match, Kamille versus Chelsea Green, another one of Corgan's shady deals with the Cardona family. So Chelsea basically did nothing to earn this title. There was about 5, 6, maybe 7 more deserving women than Chelsea, but yet here we are. So that's the whole deal. That's the whole reason Nick Aldus is getting upset. And some of the other people, Nick Aldus was speaking for the locker room. He was basically the locker room leader. So the fact that Billy Corgan is now like excommunicated the locker room leader for speaking up about these shady deals means Billy Corgan's about to have a riot, a whole entire mutiny on his not only with his locker room, but if he goes through and it ends up being Trevor Murdoch versus Tyrus for the title at NWA 74, the fans are going to mutiny. And then what do you have left? If you anger the fans and you anger the wrestlers, what do you have left, Billy? So I don't understand what's going on with this storyline. Also, that he could strip the NWA title from an injured man. That's where the story comes from. But I don't understand. Is it in the rules that if a person's not injured and not able to compete, you're not allowed to strip them, or what? So I guess maybe I could try and look up deep in the NWA rule book what the rules are, but it seems a little ridiculous. So starting out this week's action and will be the women's division, of course. It'll be Kaci, Lennox versus one half of the NWA Women's World Tag Team Champions, Kenzie, Paige. So sadly, I don't see Ella Envy ringside. She was absolutely hilarious last week. So this is Kaci Lennox's debut match in NWA, and she's got the size advantage over Kenzie here and pushes Kenzie into the corner right away to start the match. So Kenzie fights back, getting a headlock applied. Kaci pulls the hair to get out, and then Kenzie hits a shoulder tackle on the much larger woman. Pretty good looking move there. Then a nice counter to avoid damage, finishing with a big kick to Kaci's face by Kenzie. Great match from Kenzie so far. Kenzie Paige has been improving week after week. I think she's only like 22, 23. So great stuff for the future of the business. There's a lot of 22, 23 year old women in the wrestling world right now that are really good. So we're about to hit like a golden age for sure of women's wrestling. And it's good that everyone's keep building and setting up the stage for the future with the women's division. This episode of EmPowerrred does just that. So great to see that in multiple places, in multiple companies. So Kaci then follows in with a running elbow for another big strike. Then Kaci goes in the middle rope, looking to end it already, but I mean that was Kenzie doing that stuff. Sorry about that. Kenzie followed with the elbow big strike. Then Kenzie Paige goes to the middle rope, looking to end it here, but Kaci is able to pull Kenzie off the ropes, landing real hard. So good fight shown by Kaci to not be out of this yet. Kenzie is hurt after that one, and we see Kaci sees her opening here and then hitting a big shoulder thrust and a knee to the back. So Kenzie's back is all messed up now, and Kaci hits a snap suplex for that looked nice for a 2 count, and then the crowd's cheering for Kenzie to fight through this back pain here. Now Kenzie is able to counter twice here, but Kaci stays in control with big chops. But then Kenzie counters a couple more times and for a drop kick for a 2 count. And I'm not sure if that was a smart move by Kenzie. She landed super hard on her back and didn't end the match with it. So I think it was a top rope drop kick. Sorry, but that's why the pain was extra hard, because it was like she already had a bad back type deal. So Kenzie now fires up, however, seemingly fighting off the pain, and the smaller Kenzie gets a full Nelson on Kaci, who easily gets out with her size advantage. So Kaci then hits a nice reverse STO facebuster. That looked awesome. When Kenzie then kicks out, Kaci screaming at the top of her lungs here, breaking all the glass nearby and waking up every dog in a 5-mile radius. Kaci then argues with the referee, and that gives Kenzie time to recover, and Kenzie counters out of a fireman's carry and hits the skull crushing finale for the 1-2-3. The winner of this match by pinfall, Kenzie Paige. Pretty good match here to start us off on EmPowerrred. Kaci was having a pretty good showing here, but her temper got the better of her at the end. Kenzie needs to watch out for using moves that will hurt her already hurt body parts. Like against anyone better, that top rope drop kick probably would have cost her the match. So she's definitely gonna have to gain a little bit more experience, that's for sure. But Kenzie's much better in the ring than her partner Ella, but I think Ella's way more charismatic, so I can see why they make a good team. But let's see if Kaci can embrace the cheating of Ella, or will it lead to the downfall of their tag team and their tag title reign? I hope they can stay together. Maybe Kenzie will just embrace the dark side and fall down that path for a little while before realizing the error of her ways later on. But in the meantime, I think she might want to keep the title, keep the tag team going and stuff like that. Ella might be able to use her great charisma and stuff to talk Kenzie into it. But last time we saw Kenzie with the tag title match and then there was cheating, she was like crying about it. So we're gonna have to wait and see which side she wants to go, the light side or the dark side. So in the back now with May Valentine, which we didn't get to see as much as May Valentine this week as usual, that's for sure, even though it was an empowered episode. But in the back, May Valentine's with Father James Mitchell and the Miserably Faithful and their newest member, Max the Impaler, which is pretty fun. So Mitchell says here that the nature of my relationship with Max the Impaler is simple. I had been on a world tour looking for fresh talent to take over the women's division in NWA when I realized right here in my backyard was the most incredible of specimens. Now take a look at them. There's not a soul in the men's or women's division that could stop Max the Impaler on their path of destruction that leads to Kamille. I promise you that that day is going to come. And when you look up at Max with fear and tears in your eyes and you relinquish the NWA Women's Championship to your maker, Max the Impaler. So that was a pretty good. Every time James Mitchell talks, it's one of the greatest promos in wrestling today. So Father James Mitchell, one of the most underrated guys in wrestling for many years now. So May was super scared. Gags the Gimp was right in front of Max. So if you're also wondering why the Sinister Mister was calling Max they and there, that is because Max is non-binary and doesn't necessarily have a gender. So so good stuff by Father James Mitchell on this empowered episode to use the they their stuff. But that should be a good thing. We're setting up a lot of good things for the women's division for sure. Let me blow my nose real quick. We're live, pal. All right. Yeah, if you guys are wondering, I just like to do these live in case someone wants to come over, ask questions, and I can answer them and stuff like that. But anyway, that was a good promo by Father James Mitchell. Can't wait to see more about Max in this group. Especially, I want to see Max and Gags the Gimp have their own little segment. We kind of got to see them interact here, but not very much. That's really gonna be funny when we do get that. So we go to an ad break now, and we're told it'll be Taya Valkyrie versus KiLynn King in a #1 contenders match for the NWA World Title. So wow, big match coming up. So the whole reason that they had to have the #1 contendership match here is because Natalia Markova is the #1 contender, but got injured thanks to Taya Valkyrie. Even though Markova beat Taya in that match, a concussion put Markova out of action. Um, I still think that Taya did it on purpose, as in not wrestling, but really took her out for real because she was supposed to lose. Might be just a mark for thinking that, but go back and watch when she was viciously attacking Markova, giving her a concussion. I'm sure the concussion isn't fake. I'm sure it's real. And the fact that Taya did that and then now might be able to take the normal contendership match is exactly why I said at the time, go back to my Always Ready review. I said at the time it looked like Taya Valkyrie was upset that she wasn't going to win this match against Markova and wanted to take her out because of it. And look at now, Taya is in taking that spot. So let's see if KiLynn King can get it instead. So when we come back, Taya Valkyrie and KiLynn are already in the ring. Big match here. Both women lost huge matches at the last pay-per-view, Always Ready. KiLynn King lost her title match against Kamille, and Taya lost the #1 contenders match to Markova. But now both women find themselves with a second chance here. Taya has the experience and the weight advantage, but KiLynn King definitely has the reach advantage. And this match will be decided by whoever shows they're stronger, faster, and more agile. I'm not quite sure who it would be. So both women are powerhouses, that's for sure. One's a little more compact, and then one's a little more lengthy. So that should be interesting here. Whoever has about two of those three advantages is probably going to be able to win. So Taya wants to shake hands at the start of the match, so King does it, and they tie up and take it to the mat. So both women show that they're pretty even so far. Nobody really has an advantage. They counter each other a little bit back and forth. King's able to get out of a tight head scissors into a headlock. Then they get to their feet, and Taya takes it right back down to the mat using her weight advantage nicely. So stamina looks like it will be a huge key issue in this match. Whoever has the better stamina is probably going to win. So both women now reset. They try a test of strength. They're probably both interested in who's the stronger woman here. And then the reach advantage is getting KiLynn King a little bit more leverage and control of the test of strength. So Taya shows some great agility now to roll out of trouble. So Taya might have the agility edge. And with the reach advantage, it might be KiLynn King with the strength advantage just because of the full or the leverage. So Taya then or they counter back and forth again. Really great match here. So King then hits a nice Mexican arm drag, but Taya answers it with one of her own. She knows a good she's wrestled in Mexico a lot, mostly in her career. I would say more than half of her career Taya Valkyrie spent in Mexico. So she knows how to do some of these Mexican arm drags and stuff. But KiLynn King looked good doing it as well. Now big strikes to Taya's arm and has it behind her back. King does the a big stomp with the arms tied behind, so that looked pretty cool. But then ties the arms back up and gets wrist control. Taya was hurting her arm here a lot, or Taya was getting her arm hurt, I should say. So Taya gets to the ropes, but King keeps the hold on for a few extra seconds, and Taya again shows some great agility here to avoid attack. So Taya Valkyrie definitely has the agility edge in this one. King blocks a leg block attempt, but then King hits a massive mafia kick for a 2 count. Great. It's just one of those straight big boots. If you don't know what a mafia kick is, like Masahiro Chono, basically. So also known as a Yakuza kick. But Taya then stomps her way out of a headlock and and then hits huge strikes and then a double stomp, just a standing stomp. King's just barely able to kick out of that. King's now lost all the air in her lungs from that stomp, which is going to be a stamina issue going forward. So Taya keeps the pressure on, but King's able to reverse and take control. King now hits a nice flying clothesline for a two count. But the next mistake probably will cost the match for either woman. It's getting down to the nitty gritty here. So Taya Valkyrie counters and hits a thrust kick, and then 2 more kicks and a lariat, but King's still able to kick out, but just barely this time. So King's able to block the Road to Valhalla attempt and then get behind Taya and hits a big strike to the back. King is still behind, and she's looking for her pump handle Excalibur move here, but Taya blocks it and with a back elbow, and then Taya dodges another mafia kick attempt to pick the ankle. Now Taya has the local lock and then applied. King is forced to tap out right away. So the winner of this match by submission and new #1 contender to the NWA World Women's title at NWA 74, Taya Valkyries, who injured out her the real #1 contender. So I still say Taya did that on purpose, and I'm not a big fan of her. I don't trust Taya Valkyrie. She just seems like the kind that would scheme and plot for real, not even just in the wrestling sense. So, and I can't understand why she's playing a babyface in so many companies. She's such a heel in my opinion. I just don't trust her as far as I could throw her, and she's a brick house, so I couldn't throw her very far. Great match here though. Could have used a few more minutes of length to make it like epic, but it was still pretty fun. You didn't know who was going to win, and it makes sense to have Taya win. King had just had the big pay-per-view title shot at the last pay-per-view. So we've already pretty much set up that KiLynn King will get another title shot in the future. She's basically got an ongoing feud with Kamille still going, which is why I thought maybe KiLynn King would win this match and get another pay-per-view match. But I guess it makes sense to have Taya Valkyrie win it. She is the one that destroyed for real Markova, who was supposed to be the #1 contender. So I guess if you can legitimately hurt your opponent, you get to take their place. That's kind of how they do it in the NWA. So the Taya is able to avenge her always ready loss to Markova here and get this opportunity. So I can deal with cheating in a match, but this is a little too much, injuring your opponents so that they're not in your way in the future. That's a little step too far for me. There's a code between wrestlers to win but not injure each other, because we all want to make a living. That's how pro wrestling started when it became fixed, if you want to call it that. Where it was just a gentleman's agreement then that don't break my neck, don't break my arm or my leg. I need to come wrestle again in a week. I need to wrestle in 2 weeks so I can buy groceries for my family and put a roof over my head. And you want to do the same thing. So let's have a gentleman's agreement to not take each other out. And then here we are in 2022, where it's definitely not anything like it used to be. And I'm pretty sure Taya Valkyrie for real gave Markova a concussion on purpose, and it's not acceptable whatsoever. I can't prove it. I'll never be able to prove it. But just go watch back the footage for yourself. And it just seemed like the big AAA champion coming into NWA for the first time didn't want to have to lose to Natalie Markova in the number one contenders match. So that's how I saw it. She still, but Markova showed good toughness by being able to win the match still. So Taya didn't get that part of her plan where she was just not going to have to take the pin, but she was able to get the number one contendership anyway by injuring out Markova. So I'm going to move on. Now we see the Jackie Max Madhouse radio show, and this is the only little bit of information we got about Billy Corgan. So it's Billy Corgan on this radio show. Maybe if we go look up the radio show, we could find more than what they just showed us, or like, you know what I mean? So Corgan then explains why he gave the NWA world title shot to Tyrus while stripping Nick Aldis of the number one contendership. Corbin says it's a responsibility to hold honor with the NWA, which is just laughable because Billy Corgan's clearly crooked. Then Corgan says, when I bought this company, I put it on the broad shoulders of Nick Aldis. No one is more talented, decorated, and highly paid in the locker room. He made sure to throw out the highly paid part. Thanks, Billy Corgan. But then he continues by saying, but what he does need is create an illusion in Nick's mind that he needs to be in every main event, no matter if he deserves it or not. So can you say he deserved this? Absolutely. He won the number one contendership, but now he's went there and he disparaged me and the company. So now we see the tweet in question, the whole tweet that would be big enough for Nick Aldis to lose the number one contendership, for the fans that have to watch Tyrus in the main event instead. We see the tweet in question, and the Nick Aldis writes, I told you that I would outthink them all. No matter what kind of goalpost moving goes on, I find a way to win, but I'm not naive. I know there are forces who don't want me who don't want to see me as champion again, and a lot can happen between now and NWA 74. Your move. That was the only thing Nick Aldis said out in public for Billy Corgan to enact this. Oh, if you're number one contender and you don't represent the company the way I think you should, but then I can strip you of the number one contendership at any point. But he has to make a deal with the devil and give title shots that ruin the entire company's credibility just to steal or just to take the world title off of an injured man. So none of it makes sense. Corgan basically suspended, or whatever you want to call it, Nick Aldis for that tweet. And Corgan says, and for that alone, he has lost his opportunity. So if there was any doubt in your mind that this was like just this little tweet and stuff like that that's been happening in the back, like Corgan's basically been saying for the last few weeks, there's been murmurs and rumblings in the locker room, blah blah blah. So apparently it's been like a lot of Nick Aldis, because remember, Nick Aldis is the locker room leader. So nobody was really appreciating what was going on. You were getting people like Chelsea Green cutting the line over 6 or 7 women and in the rankings ahead of her to get a title shot. You were getting Mike Knox, who didn't even have to qualify for the Final Four tournament match for the NWA World Heavyweight title last week. Brian Myers was added to that. Do you really think Brian Myers deserved it more than, like, I don't know, just off the top of my head, like a Wrecking Ball Legursky? I know he's a tag guy, but like, does he really? He's probably on the same level as Brian Myers. You know what I'm saying? Who was also a tag guy in the Cardona's tag team. So all of it kind of just looks shady, you know, like, I'm pretty sure all of this, every single bit of it is just storyline. So don't think that I'm thinking it's real. Like, I did think that I know it's hard because I just was talking about Taya Valkyrie and I thought that part was real at um always ready, but here it's definitely storyline, and hopefully it's storyline and it doesn't turn into a shoot or whatever. And the reason I might say that it might be a shoot is the fact, who really wants to watch Tyrus in the main event? So if we get all the way to NWA 74 and it's Tyrus in the main event, then we might know that something is legitimately wrong, because why would they do that to the fans? So we're not quite sure what's going on, But Corgan, like I said, he was saying for that alone, he has lost his opportunity, and I've given his opportunity to someone more deserving, which is a load of crap. The last time, or he finished by saying it's about the credibility of the NWA, and that's what I'm here to protect. So Corgan tries to tell us that Tyrus is a megastar, more like magastar, and then he says that Tyrus versus Trevor Murdoch is the best main event possible for NWA 74, which is just a load of crock, a big crock of BS here. This a guy puts out a tweet you don't like. The tweet was vague enough so that it didn't name any names or it really make any outright accusations. Now Tyrus is all of a sudden more deserving, even though the last time we saw Tyrus, he was beating up a rookie for no reason in front of his mother before the show even started. So just because he wanted to, this story makes no sense unless that's the story here. Maybe Corgan is completely corrupt and has gone insane, and there can't be one NWA or wrestling fan that wants to see Murdoch versus Tyrus. So we're just going to have to tune in next week to see what the heck goes on with that. Hopefully they can rectify the situation. And we don't have to see Tyrus in the main event, who has his own title. Tyrus has his own title that he can defend at NWA 74. So what really is the whole point of this? So I'm hoping by the time we get to NWA 74, Tyrus is out. I don't care if it's Aldus or not, but just don't have it be Tyrus, man. I'd rather see Gags the Gimp for the world title than Tyrus. So after an ad break now, let's just get back to the show. With May Valentine is Medusa and Allison Kay. And this is a pretty big epic right here. So Medusa says, it's my honor to announce the first ever women's television title. So there's an NWA women's television title now, a secondary singles title for the women to fight for, and that goes along with the tag titles and the world title that they already had in the company. So great stuff here. The NWA women's division is definitely looking improved, and they're getting better and better as we go here. So Allison Kay then says the competition in the NWA women's division is hot, and this is only going to turn up the heat even more. I can't wait to see what this brings out in everyone. I'm hex-cited, if you will, which was god awful cringe. Why would she ever say that? So honestly, I feel Billy created this just to add to my resume. That's so generous. So that was Allison Kay talking. Then she says, Medusa, are you going to be competing for that? And then Medusa shrugs her shoulders 4 times in a row awkwardly and says, do not kill the messenger. So that was weird. But that's pretty cool. We get to add the women's television title, the TV title here. But again, it looks like something that something weird with Corgan's going on. Why would Medusa even say don't kill the messenger there? So what the heck's going on in this company? I'm definitely intrigued though. I'm not like to the point where I'm like, oh, I'm not gonna watch the company. I'm intrigued. I want to see what's happening. So not only do we have we do have a men's match this week, and not only do we have a men's match, but it's for the NWA World Tag Team titles. So that's pretty important here. Dirty Dango and JTG come out together dancing, and they are the Dirty Sexy Boys, and they will be getting a World Tag Team title shot against the Commonwealth Connection, who come out next. It's Harry Smith or Davey Boy Smith Jr. and Doug Williams. So Smith has toilet paper stuck to his boot as he comes out, and the crowd chants, let's get weird, which is just the everything I just said right there is so awkward. So anyway, this is the first title shot for DSB, the Dirty Sexy Boys, but not their first meeting with Doug Williams and Smith Jr. So Doug and Dirty Dango are going to start this match out with some grappling, and that is Fandango, if you're wondering. And then he's teaming with JTG. A couple of, we got 3 former WWE guys in this match, and then a former Impact champion, X Division champion, and tag champion. So also, you got to imagine, usually the Commonwealth Connection had a little bit of a, alliance with Nick Aldis, or at least a little bit of one. So you have to wonder if the tag team champions also are going to be affected by the Nick Aldis stuff. So let's get into this match. Doug Williams and Dango start, and Doug seems to get the better of it, but Dango's just keeping up with the veteran for sure. Doug then gets pushed into the wrong corner. Now JTG, who's jacked up compared to where he was in WWE, JTG comes in and hits some shoulder thrusts that JTG just loses control immediately after that, though. And Doug gets wrist control, tags in Harry Smith. So then they hit a big double team shoulder tackle on JTG. Smith then hits a beautiful looking snap suplex for a 2 count. And then Smith hits a had something. I don't know what I wrote there. Maybe a headbutt, but JTG's in trouble. Desperation mode now kicks in for JTG, who counters the next move into a chop block right on the knee of Davies Boy Smith Jr. So JTG now sees his opening. He stomps on the knee while tagging in Dango, who comes in and hits a dragon screw leg whip on the hurting knee of Smith. Now Dango applies a hammerlock on the leg, which looked pretty awesome. And quick tags now have Harry Smith in trouble big time. So then an assisted leg drop double team on his knee has Smith in the danger zone now already. The title is on the line, don't forget. So Dango grapevines the legs, and then he hits some forearms to Smith's face. JTG now tags in and he hits a knee breaker, but only for a 2 count. A lot of fight left in Smith. So JTG now hits big strikes to the face after that kick out, then goes back to work on the knee. Dango tags back in. Smith is able to block a figure 4 attempt, sending Dango flying out of the ring, and Doug gets the crucial tag. So JTG also tags in. Doug Williams hits a flying back elbow and a suplex for a 2 count already. Tag back in the Smith so that they can hit a double team, ending with a Smith power slam. Dango runs in and throws Doug right out of the ring. Doug pulls Dango out with him, and in the ring now, JTG hits a ripcord knee strike right to the face of Harry Smith. Then a pop-up neck breaker right after that, like the alley oos type thing that Usos do. But Smith just barely able to kick out of this, and almost new tag team champions right there. So JTG climbs out the ropes now, but Doug was still nearby inside, having taken out Dango already. So Doug grabs the leg of JTG. This allows Smith to grab JTG, hit a massive running power slam for the 1-2-3. So the winners of this match by pinfall, and still NWA World Tag Team Champions, the Commonwealth Connection. So pretty good match here. Definitely better than that last TV title match that really only lasted a couple minutes. DSB definitely came close here to winning the titles, but could not get past the great teamwork of the Commonwealth Connection. So pretty good match overall. After an ad break now, we see the big junior division match from NWA USA last Saturday, where Kerry Morton defeated Colby Carino, setting up a Kerry Morton homicide match at NWA 74. Granted that Homicide retains the title in any matches before then. So then we go to the ring. It's the main event time for NWA Powerrr. It's another title match, and it will be for the NWA World Women's title, the Mildred Burke. So Kamille defending against Chelsea Green here, who's accompanied by Matt Cardona, and Chelsea and Matt make out before the match even starts. Camille's absolutely disgusted by this, and the crowd is 100% behind Kamille in this match. So Kamille has the size and power advantage in this match. The bell rings and they tie up, and Chelsea resets right away. Then they lock up again. Chelsea gets pushed into the ropes. Clean break here from Kamille, and right after, no clean break, of course, by Chelsea, who pulls the hair. So Chelsea then turns her back to Kamille to talk trash to the crowd. So that gets Kamille in with a big shoulder tackle, crushing Chelsea. I don't know what she was thinking there. It's a title match, Chelsea. Come on. Kamille then sends Chelsea into the ropes, hits another big shoulder tackle, and then tries to leapfrog over Chelsea, but Chelsea did not get low enough, running right into Camille's legs. And I would say it's definitely Chelsea's fault, not Camille's, because Chelsea gets a lot of praise online lately, but to me, she always has way too many botches. Every single match Chelsea has, there's a bunch of botches every single time. And then people are like, oh, she's had some great matches. I'm like, yeah, if you can overlook 7 botches in a 10-minute, 8-minute match, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just a little too much in my opinion. She doesn't seem to be getting that much better than when she was Laurel Van Ness as back in like 6 years ago. I really don't think she's improved at all. And now she's just getting more and more TV time in different companies and big title matches and stuff like that. I still don't think she's improved at all since in the last 6 years. But that's just me. Kamille then hits a hip toss, and after that gets wrist control. She lifts Chelsea up by her arm and her wrist. So Chelsea has a previously injured wrist, and the champion knows that here, targeting the previously injured wrist. So Kamille follows her with the best shoulder tackle yet. This one just crushes Chelsea. Chelsea has to roll out of the ring and console with Matt Cardona, then hides behind Matt Cardona and takes a cheap shot on Kamille off to take control here. So Chelsea then hits a drop kick, sending Kamille off the apron. Back in the ring now, Kamille kicks out at a 1 count. She's got a lot of fight left in her with the Mildred Burke title on the line. So Chelsea stays in control with a chin lock. When Kamille was just about to break free, Chelsea throws her into the corner and takes Kamille down with a bad snapmare. Again, another terrible move by Chelsea Green. Then she hits a standing elbow drop for a 2 count. Chelsea now pulls the hair of Kamille and does a snapmare hair mare twice. So Kamille evades another standing elbow drop here and strikes her way to get control. Chelsea pulls the hair right away to keep Kamille down. So Kamille gets clotheslined over the top rope now, but Kamille counters the dive to the outside, hitting a giant forearm to the face of Chelsea Green. Chelsea got rocked by that shot, and this allows Kamille to recover a little bit, and Camille's in control now. She hits a face plant and strikes into a power slam, but Chelsea still kicks out at 2. So Kamille looks for the crowd for support now as Matt cheers Chelsea on, and Chelsea misses a stomp, and Kamille hits a big, massive pump kick to the face. That was a big shot there, but Chelsea's just barely able to kick out in time, keeping the match alive. Kamille now looks for a power bomb, but Chelsea strikes her way out of that, then hits a head scissors takedown. Decent looking there. So Chelsea now blocks a running forearm in the corner and then hits a middle rope blockbuster, then a curb stomp. So Camille's just barely able to kick out and save her title. That was all done by Chelsea Green, those last couple moves. So Kamille now blocks the unprettier attempt and hits a spinning heel kick. If that unprettier connected, we might have had a new champion. So Kamille then misses a spear, and Chelsea hits a backstabber off of this, then stomps Camille's face right into the bottom turnbuckle. Again, looking like we might have new champions. Chelsea might have won on this move, but decided to cheat instead, and the referee saw that Chelsea was holding on to the ropes, with Matt also holding her wrist on the ropes. So the referee stops the count. If she had just pinned normal there, who knows if she would have got the 3 or not, but Chelsea had to try to cheat, and that might have cost her. The crowd now chants kick him out for Matt interfering, but clearly the Cardonas have told the referees not to kick out Matt. He can do whatever he wants. So Kamille just takes matters into her own hands, hits a big spear here, and that gets the 1, 2, 3. So the winner of this match by pinfall, and still NWA Women's World Champion, the Brick House Kamille. So then Power ends on that note. It was a pretty good episode. Both title matches were great. This Chelsea match was pretty good. Kamille definitely keeping it together, trying to fight through the botches. It wasn't too bad. The match wasn't too terrible. And then pretty great episode. We set up Max the Impaler nicely with Father James Mitchell and crew. And then Kenzie looked like really good in the opener. Not to mention the the women's TV title announced. So this was definitely an important episode for the women's division and women's wrestling as a whole. So all the stuff with Billy Corgan is definitely interesting. But if the end result of the story leads to a main event title match between Murdoch and Tyrus, well, then that's bad regardless of how the story goes. So, but we're not over yet this week. Let's see what happened over on NWA USA. This is from July 30th, 2022. So let me get a quick drink, and then we'll talk about NWA USA. So it is a special edition of NWA USA. It's a special Fixers Rule edition, but no Jay Bradley. It'll be Wrecking Ball Legursky and Mercurio, of all people, hosting NWA USA this week. So we start this week's episode with a warning that show is for mature audiences. I thought the whole point of NWA USA was to be a more kid-friendly show, for it to be on Saturday mornings and stuff like that. So that's a little weird. I don't care either way. I don't even have kids. So then we see a Wrecking Ball, Legursky, and Mercurio standing next to each other. And Legursky welcomes us to a special edition of USA Surge, or Surge USA. I don't know what it means, but with the Fixers. So he says, unfortunately, the boss, Jay Bradley, cannot be here due to elephantitis of the inner thigh and is now currently rubbing Fixer's cream all over it. So that's awkward to just picture right there. Thanks, Legursky. So then that's why the fastest rising star in NWA, Mercurio, will join me. So Legursky keeps saying Mercurio's name wrong, and he also says, I can't understand your Australian accent, when Mercurio is clearly Italian. There's a lot of really corny bad jokes from Legursky in this episode. They're all cringe, every single one of them, pretty for the most part. So anyway, let's get into our first match. It'll be in the tag division. We get 2 tag division matches today on USA. So the first one here will kick off the night. It's the Now. The tag team is called the Now, and we haven't seen them since they were in the Crockett Cup, losing to the Briscoes. And then now is Vic Delicious and Hale Collins, and they're going to take on Idolmania representatives Jordan Clearwater and Idol's own son, Scion. So this is Idol Sports Management versus the Now. And Jordan will start this match with Vic Delicious. And Jordan gets wrist control right away, but Vic shows good agility to flip right out, then gets wrist control on Jordan. Jordan tries to flip out as well, but he can't do the nip up to get off his back. So Cyan now tags in, and Vic gets wrist control on him too, but Cyan's able to power out and hit a scoop slam. Jordan now tags in, but he misses his leg drop. Hale now tags in. Hale Collins is in, and they double team the arm of Jordan. Another quick tag now, and they hit another nice double team that almost wins the match right here. So Jordan kicks out. Then Cyan is interfering from the apron, and this allows Jordan to get control. So Cyan now tags in. He hits a scoop slam 3 times. So Cyan has now hit 4 scoop slams and nothing else in this match. Come on. Hale then kicks out at 2, but Cyan keeps quickening the pace here, or keeps control, quickening the pace. Jordan now tags in, and they double team Hale, but Jordan cuts off a comeback and tags in Cyan. So Hale then gets caught in a submission hold, but Cyan breaks it himself and then tag in the Jordan. They hit a double team suplex for a 2 count. Hale's now really in trouble. He's been isolated for a while now. So Cyan hits a vertical suplex, another 2 count. So Hale counters the next move with an enziguri kick, and he's able to tag in Vic Delicious. So Vic comes in and kicks one of the guys on the outside, and then hits a German suplex and spinebuster on Jordan. So it must have been Cyan. So Vic kicks Cyan on the outside, then hits a German suplex and a spinebuster on Jordan. That only gets a 2 count, though. So Cyan pulls Hale right off the apron, right as Vic was about to tag out. And this momentary pause from Vic costs him the match here as Jordan hits the Midas Touch Mafia kick for the 1, 2, 3. So the winners of this match by pinfall, Idolmania, Sports Management, Jordan, Clearwater, and Cyan. So not a very good match. It was just to establish Jordan and Cyan as a team here. But they got a lot of work to do on their teamwork and wrestling in general. So after an ad break, Legursky and Mercurio are now with the beautiful people, Angelina Love and Velvet Sky. Legursky cannot pronounce beautiful for whatever reason. Mercurio asks them if they like Italian men and what restaurants they like, but nothing fancy, and that offends the beautiful people who only want fancy things. So Legursky then makes a bad Olive Garden joke, and this is beyond cringe. Legursky sucks. I don't ever want to see him do another promo. So thankfully, we go right to the next match. It'll be Brady Pierce versus Brett Buffshay, 2 of the youngsters in NWA, and this is going to be a big match in their short careers so far. So they shake hands as the match starts. Pierce gets wrist control, but Brett counters. Pierce then gets a nice headlock takeover, but Brett gets a head scissors on. Pierce then is able to get a nice headlock takeover 2 more times, and Brett gets out, but Pierce hits a big lariat here. Brett then gets up, and he hits some shoulder thrust into the corner. Then a sunset flip gets Brett a 2 count. Brett has a waist lock on now, and he uses a schoolboy pin attempt for another 2 count. So Pierce lifts up Brett now for a massive power slam, and somehow Brett's able to kick out of that. That was pretty impressive. But Brett is able to hit a scoop slam for a 2 count right after that. So this is either man's match to win. Brett now slows it down with a headlock, and Pierce strikes his way out, hits a clothesline, a back elbow, and a neck breaker. Really good flurry there by Pierce, but that only gets him a 2 count as well. So Pierce tries a running elbow drop, but Brett is able to evade this and goes on the attack himself, hitting a big knee strike for a 2 count. So Pierce counters the next move and hits a nasty looking shoulder breaker. That looked great, and he calls that move the Top Gun, and it grants him the 1, 2, 3. So the winner of the match by pinfall, Brady Pierce. Pretty good match here for the 2 youngsters. It was mostly just moves back and forth. It wasn't much of a wrestling match, but that's all right when you're just starting out. All the moves look crisp, so that's all you can ask for, and hopefully they develop like the flow of a match later on. So that's one of the first people I've seen since Rocky Maivia to use the shoulder breaker for a finish, and that's a pretty good shoulder breaker, so I can see why he's using it as a finisher. After the ad break, we go back to Legursky and his cringe stuff. He's with Mercurio and the Friedman brothers, which they've got the gimmick of the big brother is super small, the little brother is super big. So Legursky says, last time I saw you guys, Trevor Murdoch put a boot through your stupid mullets. And so the Freemen said, well, that makes them mad, and that they've been looking to take out Murdoch, but they can't find him, which is a good point. Where the heck has Trevor Murdoch been, the NWA world champion? So anyway, Legursky and Mercurio tell really bad short jokes here. Even Jerry the King Lawler has better short jokes than you guys. So again, that was absolutely terrible. So now it's time for our next match. It'll be from the women's division, a four-way match between Paula Blaze, Missa Kate, Roxy, and Marti Belle. So with the announcement of the NWA Women's TV title, all of a sudden this match becomes super important. So instead of the winner of this match maybe becoming the 6th or 5th ranked contender for the NWA Women's World title, the winner now might become one of the top 10 contenders for the new TV title instead. So I'm not quite sure what they're going to do. Probably it's going to be a tournament, but you never know. But there is going to be an NWA Women's TV title. So all of a sudden, this four-way match between some of the women not in the high ranked, all of a sudden becomes really important. So the crowd's chanting for Marti Belle before the match even starts. Paula tries to get the first attack, but then runs away scared. She's playing like a gimmick where she isn't really a wrestler, so she keeps running away and looking at her phone throughout the match. Missa Kate now gets thrown out of the ring, and Paula's looking at her phone to make sure her hair is nice, so she's using her phone as a mirror. Now Marti and Roxy go out of the ring to go get her. They throw Paula in the ring and double team her and then fight each other. So Roxy gets a 1 count on Marti Belle, then a big strike gets a 2 count. Paula then trips Roxy from behind, and Missa Kate now is back in. Kate throws Marti Belle out, and then hits a snake eyes on Roxy. Good moves here from Kate, who I've seen a lot recently in the last couple of months, and she's been impressive. Paula's now looking at her phone again, but then comes in to help Kate. They double team Roxy, but Roxy fights back, but couldn't fight back against the 2-on-1 attacks for very long. So Roxy then gets thrown face first into the turnbuckle. Then Marti Belle comes back and hits, and Paula takes her out with a terrible looking Meteora. Paula was not looking good in this match whatsoever. It was so soft, she probably wouldn't even woken a baby from its nap. That move was so soft. So Kate now hits a much harder kick right after that, the Roxy in the opposite corner. Kate and Paula now make the pin at the exact same time on different people. The referee counts both of them, neither get the pin, and now that makes them both upset at each other. Marti Belle attacks from behind here, and Marti and Kate battle now. Kate hits a big boot to the head. Paula then attacks Kate with a terrible looking something. I can't even tell what the move was. Paula looked ridiculously bad in this match. So Roxy, I can see why they hired her. She's got giant fake tits. She seems like she's a genuinely nice girl, but don't put these people on TV, please. Roxy, or you can, just don't have them in matches. So Roxy then hits a great looking springboard X Factor, the face buster. That's the springboard. That looked awesome from Roxy. But right after that, Marti Belle hits the protect your neck pedigree on Roxy for the 1-2-3. So the winner of this match by pinfall, Marti Belle. And wow, could this be setting up for a Hex versus Hex matchup for the TV title? Because don't forget, Allison Kay was right next to Medusa when the TV title was introduced. And now Marti Belle wins this big match right after. So that could be a potential thing. I'm thinking it might be a tournament. It might be a four-way match. It might be something. We don't quite sure. No, we don't know how the TV title is going to be introduced and awarded or crowned the first champion. But right at this point, I would say Marti Belle and Allison Kay, both members of the Hex, are right up there for TV title shots. I hate to keep harping on it, but Paula was not good enough to be on TV yet. She needs a lot more training. But the 3 other women in this match did look good, however. So good stuff there. After an ad break now, again, we've got bad Legursky and Mercurio jokes. This time they're with Taryn Terrell and Natalie Markova. And Legursky wants to know why they don't call themselves the beautiful people. And Markova says, well, that's because only average people call themselves beautiful. We just know we're beautiful. So Mercurio then tells Legursky to shut up, move his fat head, and he flirts with the ladies here. So I have seen on both their Twitter pages before, Markova and Mercurio, that they're either good friends or maybe even dating. So they had good on-screen chemistry here in this one, Markova and Mercurio, which I wouldn't mind seeing them as a duo on TV going forward. So it's our main event of NWA USA this week, and it's again in the tag division. We've got the Miserably Faithful, Sal the Pal, and Gags the Gimp, and they'll be taking on the Ill-Begotten, not the usual tag team of the Ill-Begotten. This time it's Alex Taylor and Rush Freeman, and everybody's already in the ring. So Sal the Pal and Alex Taylor are going to start this match out. And Sal doesn't pay attention at all, looking up at his dead father or whatever he does, and that gets Alex to crush him with a big boot right away. Then he tags in Rush when Gags the Gimp also tags in. Rush has nothing to do with him, and he just tags in Alex again. So Alex rushes in, he takes down Gags. Gags is able to get up and grab the nose of Alex, and then Alex almost drops Gags the Gimp right on his head, doing a tilt-a-whirl slam. I'm pretty sure it was because of Gags' gear was slippery, because Gags is a super light man. He looks about 95 pounds soaking wet, but he does have like a shiny, leathery kind of probably fake leather thing that's super slippery. So he almost got dropped on his head. He might have to look into his gear going forward to make sure it's not so slippery. That could be dangerous in the future. Anyway, right after that, Alex crushes Gags with a giant back elbow. Rush now tags in. He hits one scoop slam and tags back in Alex. Sal's now freaking out on the apron, and Gags gets double teamed in the corner. Then Alex hits some big strikes right to Gags' face, but finally Gags fights back. It doesn't last very long though, but the Gags is able to avoid a drop kick and then tag in Sal the Pal, who comes in right away. He knocks Rush off the apron, and Sal hits an atomic drop and two big strikes for a 2 count on Alex. Best flurry of the match here, and it was by Sal the Pal. Now Sal bites Alex while tagging in Gags the Gimp, and they hit a nice double team here. Rush Freeman has to come in and break up the pin. So Alex is now using his power advantage to just push Gags right into his own corner. He tags in Rush. Gags now rakes the back of Rush, then hits sliced bread number 2, which he calls the fetish. And then that tags in Sal, and he lets Sal the Pal get the 1, 2, 3. So the winners of this match by pinfall, the Miserably Faithful. Gags the Gimp is definitely self-aware of something, because Gags the Gimp knew that Sal the Pal hasn't been on the same page. It really hasn't been feeling things. So Gags the Gimp must be self-aware and smarter than he lets on, because he lets Sal the Pal get the pin. So Gags the Gimp, I mean, he's obviously a Gimp, so he's the kind of guy he doesn't need. He's probably like doesn't even want the pin. So maybe it was just as simple as that, and I was reading too much into it. But anyway, that's pretty much all we've got for NWA this week. Pretty interesting stuff. This is one of my longer NWA reviews, but we finally had some big stuff to talk about with all the and when I tell you that the wrestling media, if you want to call them that, was acting like the Billy Corgan and all this thing was real, they definitely were. But that tells me they're not watching the product. Everything's been leading up to Corgan being crooked, ever since Always Ready. This is the story they're telling. So, like I said, I can get down with the story. I can really enjoy the story, but if the end of the story leads us to Tyrus versus Trevor Murdoch in the main event of NWA 74, well, then that's not a good thing. So that's what we've got set up right now. Let's see how long, until let's see how it can go on that. Let me see if I can just find real quick when NWA 74 is before I get going. I think it's like in the middle of August. NWA. Oh, so it's not until August 27th and 28th. So it's a 2-day event. So they could do potentially like I keep saying with the Murdoch and Tyrus main event, that could potentially main event night number 1, and then on night number 2, maybe Nick Aldus comes back or something along those lines, or somebody debuts, or you never know. So we've got an entire month before that happens, or at least I think we have 3 more. I would say 3 more weeks of Power and USA to set up NWA 74. Then NWA 74 is going to be a 2-night event, so that'll be fun. That should be interesting. I'm looking forward to seeing what happens on the way to getting there. And in the meantime, great stuff in the women's division. We got a women's TV title coming. The tag champ looked good in back-to-back weeks with Kenzie Paige and Ella Envy having separate matches. And it's also interesting that they're both having separate singles matches, because remember the last time we saw them, they weren't necessarily getting along. Ella Envy cheating and Kenzie Paige crying about it because she doesn't want to be a cheater. So that's pretty interesting. The whole Taya Valkyrie thing, don't get me started yet again. Definitely go listen to my Always Ready review of the Taya Valkyrie Markova match, where I blatantly I right away started blaming Taya Valkyrie for being dangerous, and now we haven't seen Markova wrestle since then, because yes, she was dangerous. And what was going to happen when you dropped this woman on her head on the concrete floor? What do you think was going to happen? So to me, that's why I think Taya Valkyrie did on purpose. She's a really good wrestler, which tells me she could have pulled off that move without having to injure her opponent. I think that's why it makes me think that she injured her. If this was some 23-year-old girl and she wasn't really that, I say girl because she's just young, so no offense, the 23-year-old woman doing the same thing, and accident, then I could believe it was an accident. But you're one of the more veteran women in the world, Taya Valkyrie, and now she gets the #1 contendership. To me, it always looked like that she was being legit, she was being real and hurting Markova for real, and all because she wanted to win the match, all because she wanted to have a title match. Well, she got her wish, so I hope somebody knocks her unconscious because of that. And I guess it would be Kamille that would have to do it. So that should be a pretty good match, a hard-hitting match. Hopefully Kamille can retain the title, and we don't have Markova missing out on her title match, and then having the person that injured her get the title. So that'll be pretty interesting. Other than that, we saw really good in the men's division. We saw a lot of tag matches this week. 3 different tag matches in the men's division, including a world title match where the Dirty Sexy Boys lost to the champions Commonwealth connection. So we'll have to see if there's any pun intended connection between Commonwealth connection and Aldus still, and that might get Commonwealth connection in trouble with Cardona. I mean not Cardona, but Corgan, Billy Corgan. So I could see maybe the Cardonas getting a title shot, either like Mike Knox, VSK, or Brian Myers against the Commonwealth connection, maybe at NWA 74. Good thing that Chelsea didn't win the women's world title tonight. That's a great thing. I mean, this week. And yeah, I don't really have much else to talk about other than Velvet Sky is terrible on commentary. I don't know why she's there. And there was some pretty good stuff this week. So I'll be back next week. I'll try to be here on Saturday. I couldn't get this particular video out until Sunday this week. I was working on trying to get it out as much as I could before SummerSlam yesterday, but I just didn't have enough time. So I had to do SummerSlam, and then I had to do G1 right after that. So if you guys are interested, I also do WWE, AEW, New Japan, MLW, Impact, and all the NXT and NXT UK shows. So come check out, give me a subscribe if you're into this review, and I'll talk to you guys again next week for NWA, but I'll be back about 25 times before that time. So if you're interested, I'll see you then. So enjoy your weekend and have a great day or night, and I'll talk to you guys again soon. Peace.